and a sustainable career beyond traditional PR. So, Ariel, thank you so much for coming on the summit again to teach a little bit about this concept that you wrote about with From Buzz to Bond.
It is my pleasure. It's so nice to be included every year. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this book with you. Every year we talk about something slightly different, but the key and I think the through line for all of this remains relatively the same. So excited to spend some time with you, Michael.
100%. Isn't it funny how, everything like changes, but then like the heart or kind of the core seems to come back to the same kind of principles and fundamentals. So would love to hear, with this book, you're a best-selling author, and this is your new book. And so clearly you felt like this was the right time to write and share this specific message from Buzz to Bond. So would love to hear you share a little bit more about the core principle behind it and why you wrote the book.
I want to share the cover of the book because I think artists are extremely visual people, and this is going to maybe resonate a little bit. So I designed this cover myself, and the book is called From Buzz to Bond. And if you see at the top, it's chaos. There's lots of colors. I put these like squiggly weird bits in it, and it's going to be backwards, but you get the point. How to stop chasing hype and build a lasting music career. And as you get down towards the bond, you see, can we see? There we go. It's a fan base. It's dark, it's calm, it's humans. So it goes from this like frenetic to this, I think what we're all looking for is that. And the reason why I wrote this book now is when things get crazy in the world, and we've had a lot of crazy in our world, let's be real, I turn to writing. And I turn to writing because when I write specifically for artists. And I believe that if artists can be seen 5%, 10%, 20% more in the world and heard more, we all begin to heal. So the chaos of the world heals when musicians make music, period. And so what I saw was musicians and creators in general, I'm a creator, I'm a writer, we all started getting focused on the wrong things. TikTok algorithms, Spotify streaming numbers, how many people stream our video on YouTube when it's only ad driven. Those are 3 examples. And that's buzz. And buzz marketing is necessary because you do need to reach as many people as possible. But bond marketing is what is going to sustain us. And what I have found is we've taken our eye off that bond side of the house and we've gotten really distracted. I think our brains have been somewhat rewired. And so we are really distracted with our phones, which have like a very fast dopamine hit pattern that keeps happening. And I think a lot of us have turned to our careers and treated them a little bit like a crazy TikTok scroll. And so this book invites us to take a step back and focus on bonding, not buzzing.
That's so good. I mean, even the word buzz, like, I don't know, like when you drink coffee or you like, it's kind of like to get a buzz, get that dopamine hit. So it sounds like really what you're focusing on is above the surface, the shallow water on the ocean that might be kind of choppy and crazy. But if you go deep enough, then there actually is this like core foundation, this stability. And that's where, a more lasting, sustainable career comes from. I know that in the book, you describe this concept of the buzz marketing danger loop. And so I'm curious if you could share a little bit more about that in terms of what does that look like and how does that affect artists long term?
I would love to. And I have a visual tool. So a buzz marketing danger loop is anytime we get stuck in a pattern. And I speak about this in the context of marketing. And many of us who've been marketing for many years, we tend to do the same thing every time. We're releasing music. We're probably waterfalling. That's coming fast every 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And we do the same thing. And what the definition of insanity is, which you have often said, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And so when you are in a danger loop, when it comes to marketing, you are basically going around and around in a circle. So here it is. And you can see here, this one is, it's like a circle, and you can see it keeps going around and around and around and around. And at the middle, it says meta ad marketing danger loop. And that is, you buy a meta ad, the meta ad pushes towards Spotify plays, then you get more meta ads for more Spotify plays, and you keep getting dopamine hits, and you go around and around and around, and that's the danger loop. And the danger loop implies that you're in it and you're not really thinking outside of that loop. And we see this so much. Artists come to us and they say, well, I'm doing meta ads. And I'm like, great. That is one piece of a giant marketing pie. Or they're doing, I hired a Spotify playlisting company, and so I'm getting on playlists. But then we ask, do you have a mailing list? Do you have an email? Are you focused on that? Do you have a way of capturing your fans? Could you put them all in a spreadsheet? If you were running an ad, a Patreon or a Kickstarter campaign, do you have actual names of people with money on a list? And that's where those marketing danger loops keep us only there and not thinking about the larger picture.
Good stuff. I'm consistently shocked by how many artists are spending thousands of dollars on ads that are driving people to like their Spotify.
Yeah.
It's like, do you hate money? do you like, and also like, it's exactly what you're describing. It's like, you might even if you do get streams, if you don't know who those people are, if you're not building a real relationship with them, if you don't have any email list, you're capturing that info, then it really feels just like flushing money down the drain.
Yeah.
So maybe you could share a little bit more about what to do instead. So a lot of artists probably are just doing this because they haven't had someone like you let them know, like, hey, there's a better way to do this. And you call it bond marketing. So I would love to hear a little bit more about what exactly is bond marketing and what are the core principles that make it work?
One quick thing I want to say before, it's not about making artists wrong for the choices that you've made about Spotify plays or any of this. Because a lot of times when I'm teaching seminars and traveling and coaching artists, they often say something which is legit, which is, I tried to get a show, I tried to get a gig, I tried to get on a festival, I tried to get a booking agent, I tried to get a manager, and they told me that my numbers weren't big enough. And so there is this reason why we're pushing for this. But let's talk about the other side of the house, which is the question here, which is, why aren't artists thinking about that long-term bond? And I think the reason is buzz marketing is passive. I can Google right now, get me more Spotify plays, get me more followers, get me something, and there will be a service, a company, a thing, a website that will pop up, and for a certain amount of money, I can passively pay them and then go about making more music, making art, writing books, whatever it is you want to do, living your life, being with your family, doing your day job. And the fact that it's passive and it creates a result also makes it irresistible. It's like potato chips. Like, you just keep eating them because they're salty and they're good. Are they good for you? Probably not. So bond marketing does take a different, not only mindset to do it, but it takes heavy lifting. You are not going to get bonded fans passively by paying someone, even if you pay me or you to come and strategize. The work is still going to be on you to figure out, what do your fans need? What do your fans want? How best can you bond with them? What offers are you making so that they resonate? How are you capturing them? Is it a spreadsheet? Is it a whole tool like the one that you've built? Is it a notebook? You have to have some elbow grease behind your process. And then what are you offering them on top of the fact that you've already created the music, distributed the music, worked really hard on that, you're in your waterfall crazy. All of that takes so much work that this is a whole other skill level that's required to make it bond. And that's not easy. You know, my book is only 66 pages long. It's a quick read. It's not clogged with tools and systems and things to do, but it's high level.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is that there's a temptation to go with the buzz marketing, pieces because it's fast, it's passive, it's easy, and it's sort of like potato chips. In that like short term, like you might get like a little bit of a buzz from it, but long term, it kind of creates these side effects that make it not worth it.
Right.
One analogy that popped up was like this analogy of roots and planting a seed. And it seems like what you're describing with bond marketing is sort of like the roots that grow under the surface. And maybe they're a little bit less flashy because like everyone wants our egos want the appearance or the feeling of being recognized externally above the ground. But really so much of that actually comes below the ground. It comes from those roots. It comes from those real connections. Yeah. And bond marketing. Yeah, I love what you said about like no one can bond with your fans for you. Like you have to build those relationships. It's like you can't outsource your marriage, right? Like there's certain things that you need to be at the core part of. So I'm curious. When it comes to building real relationships and bond marketing, what do you say is, I know in the book that you have, 10 steps with the bond marketing funnel. And so I'd love to hear a little bit of an overview of what those steps are. Maybe, if you had to summarize it down into one of the most important steps that artists overlook, which one would you focus on?
Let's go right to the middle of the funnel to step 5. Step 5 is something that is scientifically proven. There's a lot of people in our industry looking and researching what is working these days, especially now that we're at a inflection point where we're talking a lot about super fans. And, the major labels are now obsessed with super fans and how do we get super fans and how does each client, band, artist get more fans that are going to part with more money, because obviously if you're a record label, you're very interested in making money. And so now we've all turned our attention to this superfan thing. So a superfan is not a new idea. It is, since there's been music in the world, there has been the concept of needing fans. Since the first note was recorded, someone had to be on the other side or not even recorded, played, let's be real. There wasn't even recording when music started touching people. There have always been super fans. So the question becomes, step 5, the scientists of the industry who have been looking at how people are succeeding, they say this: in order to convert a fan from just like passive person who might find you on a playlist or come across you on social media or know about you, to truly bonding with you and becoming that treasured super fan, you need 5 touch points. That's why I made it step 5, 5 and 5. 5 touch points means you need to figure out how are you connecting 5 times with that one fan. This is, again, not easy. Will take work, will take figuring out how to put a system into place so that that person who passively finds you maybe on Instagram because they saw you holding a guitar or they liked your hat or your cat, or I don't know why they showed up, but how do you get them to come back? How do you get them to come back again? 3 times, 4 times. The 5th becomes, how are you going to create step 5? And how are you going to make sure that they come back again and again? That means you need to set up a system for the 5 touch points.
Awesome. So good. There's the software that we just released a few weeks ago, Street Team. One of the core tools is what we call journeys. And the idea with journeys is creating these touch points that fans can go on these journeys to connect with you as an artist, and you basically can create these steps of the journeys. So it lends itself perfectly to what you're describing. And some examples of what one of those touch points might look like, so that artists who are watching this might be able to start to brainstorm. What does that look like in terms of what kinds of touch points should I be more intentional about?
I mean, it's the one that like you start talking about it and artists' eyes glaze over pretty much consistently because it's the least sexy thing. It's your email list. This is a touch point. And it's not only about setting up a MailChimp or, making a capture bucket. In your case, you have a whole email system where you're leading people.
I should mention, Street Team also has built-in email sequences and whatnot as well. So just to throw it out there, everything that RL's talking about, integrates directly with the tool as well.
So it's not just about, yes, I have 200 people on my email list and they're all in MailChimp and I've tagged them all and I know where they live and I know who they are. I mean, that's great. That's a first step. But the question is your email interesting? Or is it like you just begging people to join your Patreon? Or is it you just frantically last minute being like, I have a gig and I need people to come? Or is it you saying, hey, sorry, you haven't heard from me in a long time, dipping in and then forgetting about it 3 months later? You have to really make sure that you are creating something that people want to come back to. That is a touch point over and over. And I think another major thing that I see when I talk to artists about getting serious about their email list, they tend to say, I hate other musicians' email lists. Well, of course you do. Like, it's confronting to look at someone else's stuff. And also, when you see something that you don't like, it's easy to like group that into your mind of, I don't like this. I don't like the way they did it. I don't like the way this artist did it. They overshared or they said something that didn't resonate with me. Why would I care about this? Mostly, musicians don't write emails for other musicians. They write them for their communities and their fans and the people they want to bond with. So there is a mental hurdle to get over here, which is don't think about that. Think about, what emails do you like? Whose emails do you open? Why are you opening them? And then start building your good email strategy from that, not from how much you dislike something that someone else did.
That's some great advice. Yeah, so it sounds like what you're saying is that you should be careful not to write off a whole strategy just because you don't like one person's implementation of how they executed on that strategy. But instead, you should pay attention to, sure, what some of the parts that you didn't like. You don't have to do it that way, but also pay attention to the parts that you do resonate with and the things that you're like, oh, like I really liked how they did that. And you'll use it to kind of craft your own authentic way of communicating. But yeah, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah. And focus on what lights you up and what turns you on and what gives you, encouragement. Every artist has a musician they like, but I find many times musicians spend a lot of time harping on what they don't like. And social media is not helpful in this domain. You see that one artist that you're like, that person, I don't resonate with their music, or they're not as talented as me. Or, I was on a call with a client the other day and he was so upset and he kept saying, well, my product is better. My product. I'm like, please stop talking about your music like it's not a product. It's your art. It's your soul. It's your heart. It's your music. But his obsession with the fact that he was better than 98%, that was what he said. I'm better than 98% of everything I hear. That is what's keeping him angry and yelling into the phone with me and not taking steps in figuring out where to find his fan base, because he's so irritated that he's probably seeing things on his social feeds or seeing numbers on YouTube or seeing numbers on Spotify or all that buzz stuff, and it's triggering. So think about who you do like. Think about the musician that lights you up. Think about the person that inspires you. Find something to love on social media and focus on that, not on what you are bristling against.
That's so good. That actually might be a good touch point for the overall theme, for this event is collaboration over competition. And to me, like hearing parts of that feels like it's like this like competitive sort of like I'm better than this person. And I know for sure that you've had a lot of experiences in the music industry and you've seen artists who've been very successful and those who've struggled. And so would love to hear your perspective as it relates to this specific idea of like collaboration versus competition and how that applies to, the principles that you've outlined in your book as well.
There's something that we always talk to artists about when we're coaching them on how to get better at social media. And we pick out themes for them. It's part of when we get hired at Cyber PR. It's the process that we take our artists through. And we work with them on social media. What are you going to post that's not just check out my stuff, buy my stuff, listen to this, listen to that. It's something that has to be deeper. And a lot of artists, and I understand why, say, well, I don't want to share about my family or my politics or my cancer or my divorce. Like that all feels too personal and too much, and I get it. But one thing that lights them up is when we say something about shining a light on others. This is a great way to think about this collaborative spirit. Write a post about your bass player. Write a post about the person that mastered your album with love. Write a post about the one venue owner that gave you a shot. Write a thank you to your first fan that stood in the front row and sang along to your songs. Think about if you can take the light off yourself and show the community. Write about your biggest, deepest influence, even if it's like Bob Dylan or Sting or Paul Simon or Lucinda Williams or Lady Gaga. I don't know, whoever it is. Think about what that would feel like to just take a mirror and show off the brilliance in someone else. When you acknowledge other people and you shine a light on them, I think this is a first great step in showing that you're in a community, in showing that your music just didn't come from nowhere. You were likely inspired by someone or something along the way. If you ever watch, and this is a great assignment, pick a documentary about a musician, any musician that you like, and watch it and look at how the light gets shown on that artist. And what you will often find is other musicians, producers, people in the band, they talk about the journey they took with that artist or why they like that artist. I just watched the Billy Joel documentary that's 6 hours long and well worth it if you want to see an example of this. And there is Nas. Nas is not an artist that you would necessarily think would be a huge Billy Joel fan. And Pink, also there. Next generation artists talking about why they love Billy Joel, why he touches and moves and inspires them, why he's part of their musical DNA. And I think that really adds consistently to our journeys together. It's shining a light. It's not just about me, my thing, my trip, my music, my deadlines, my dates, my release dates. And I think that's a really, really good way to quickly get into community and quickly show who you like to be with and spend time with. I mean, that's Seth Godin 101, tribes. He wrote that great book about shining a light on people that you want to run in a pack with. And it works. It works especially in music where we likely don't create music alone. We create it with other musicians.
Good stuff. Yeah, totally different energy when you approach a relationship with wanting to shine a light on them and provide value and appreciate them versus like me. Kind of like like bees cross-pollinating too. Like there's something great when you collaborate and you shine a light on each other. That's way more effective than if you're just trying to do it on your own. If the bees weren't kind of going between, the different flowers.
Yeah.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that, part of bond marketing is, building bonds with, other artists and collaborators as well. And the best way to do that is by shining a light on them and contributing and providing value to them.
Yeah, exactly. And when you do that, it's amazing how much they'll want to do the same for you. I mean, then you're in a reciprocal relationship, not in one where you feel like exhausted from all the energy and effort it takes to do marketing, publicity, promotion, because it really is exhausting.
100%. Not to take things like too meta here, but I think it's probably worth pointing out just what we're doing here right now, with this summit, having our partners and someone like you, RL. Like, it's something I so appreciate about you is you've always come to these events with this mindset of giving and providing value. And with the summit, this is an opportunity for us to shine a light on amazing partners and people that are really good at things that I'm not good at. And so I think that this whole experience also might be a good reference as well for artists who are here right now, thinking through things like doing shows or collaborating with other artists. And there's probably people in the crowd or that are here watching this right now that you could build a relationship with and maybe host a festival or do things like this as well. So yeah, zooming out, meta, zooming back in. Your book, From Buzz to Bond, I know that you go through a few different archetypes for communities, including, I think there's 3 fan communities: ambient, engaged, and super fans. And would love to hear you share a little bit more about those different types, of communities and how artists can intentionally think about building relationships with their fans and moving them, into more engaged type of communities.
I think a major amount of stress happens when we open up our mobile phones and look at the gram or look at TikTok or think about, okay, it's time to market now. It's time to be fabulous now. It's time to be smart now. It's time to show off this thing that is my art that I've worked so hard on. And what we are forgetting is exactly what you just said. There are actually 3 communities that you're facing every time you go to post something or go to speak to an audience. Ambient, those that might be following me right now because they like the color pink and I'm wearing a pink shirt, or somehow I'm a friend of a friend of a friend and they showed up somehow and they don't even know. That's ambient. Engaged is they took a step to come a little bit further. They watched something that I've done, or they saw your name somewhere, or they kind of remember you from back in the day and they are trying to reconnect. That's where you begin to get into that engaged. So it's moving from very little knowledge, and the internet is designed for us to have very little knowledge about a lot of things all the time with a 3.5 second stream rate on a TikTok. It's not designed. All of these algorithmic based social media sites want us addicted to the site, not to what we discover on the site. So you're already at a massive deficit to get from ambient, like who is this thing, to engaged. Okay, I'm here for it. I'm showing up. And then once there is a little bit of engagement, you've sunk your teeth into this person a little bit, they're coming back for more. Now they recognize maybe one song that you wrote, or the way you look, or something about your style, or something you said that resonated. This is where those touch points come in. How do you re-inspire them? This is one of the only good things about paid advertising. You need to retarget so that you're going back to the same people. That's when they get moving from engaged to real fan. And so this is 3 separate audiences, and the stress of, I need to be seen, it needs to come out, I need to have streams, I need to be famous, it needs to be huge right out the bat, because if it's not a million of something, it's nothing. completely lets us forget immediately about ambient, engaged, true fandom. And so that's the Bond journey. And that is the work. The work is not get on a playlist. But yet we're also focused on our Spotify pitch. Well, what if Spotify doesn't pick you up and put you on a playlist? You still have to market your music. So a much healthier way is thinking in those 3 buckets. And I want to say, like, even if you only have 100 fans or less, that's okay. Bonding more deeply with the fans that you already have. There's a sales statistic that's been thrown around for years. It costs 35 times more effort and energy to find someone to sell something to than it does to sell something to someone who's already engaged. So what we're doing with the potato chip buzz, freaking out billions of people, must have them all, is we're completely throwing out the people that we're already bonded with somewhat. And we're going for more of these people that it's going to be harder to take them on a journey. So that's what those 3 communities speak to. And it's a huge part of the book. And it's actually, hilariously, that part of the book is a blog post I wrote over 10 years ago. And I've had to rethink it because things have changed, but it's the same. And it's based on a New York Times article I read about ambient fans, definitely over 10 years ago. So you have to think like this. You can't just think it's me against the world and the world is all the same once I open up Instagram. It's not at all.
That's super helpful. I really like the way you described those 3 different pockets, ambient, engaged, and super fans. What that reminds me of is sort of that classic principle of cold, warm, hot. And so anyone that's heard that before, I think applying it to what you just described of ambient, engaged, and super fans makes a lot of sense. It's just a little bit more like personalized for artists to think about their communities.
Yeah.
And what it reminded me of was, as I think you're familiar with RL and maybe some of the people here, when my band got started, our music was really not great. Like, it was actually pretty bad. In like hindsight, you can verify for yourself. You search the secret of dropping out. Music was not great. Pretty much everyone that's watching this right now, I can almost guarantee your music is quote unquote better, higher quality. You're in the 98%. We were like, it was not good, but we got our first 1,000 true fans when we went and we met people waiting in lines for shows, and we built relationships with them and we connected with them. And so having that experience, like, just really opened up my eyes to the music. Of course, like, music's important. The quality is important. It's your product, but also it's almost more of a medium that's an excuse for you to build community, build relationships with your fans.
Yes. I mean, Michael, I love this part of your origin story. That you had the guts. I mean, you're an introverted person. I know this about you. Your music is part of your expression. I'm sure you're very much more comfortable in a room where there's a piano than in any other kind of room. This is and this is your icebreaker. This is you being like, it's so much more comfortable for you if you show up with your piano. It's perfect. It must have taken so much for you, this introverted young person, to go walk a line at a live music venue and just talk to strangers. Can you talk me through, like, why did you do that? I know so many artists that, like, they won't even stand at their own merch table after they've, like, rocked the socks off of an entire venue of people because they're so horrified at the idea of sales or standing there. Like, what motivated you and your band to do that? It's not normal.
Thanks for the question. Gosh, I mean, it was like over 10 years ago now, so kind of putting myself back in that state. is more of a stretch now. But when we first started, I really think that it was just we were so motivated and excited and passionate about our music career and making it work, because we out of high school, we graduated, and we decided we wanted to make it happen. But we knew when we played our first tour and nobody came to it, we were like, we have to do something. We have to we have to find a way to find people who'd be interested in coming to our shows.
Yeah. And
we tried so many different things that were maybe what you'd call like kind of buzz marketing, of like trying to find out and get people to come. But the thing that easily worked best for us was when we actually, at a show, we started meeting other fans and we had conversations with them. And I think part of the, back then, like I mentioned, like our music wasn't amazing. It wasn't like, it was self-produced and we were like a bunch of high schoolers. And so like our music wasn't, competitive with record labels. And so I think that when you're kind of in that stage, you really have to build relationships. And we just saw that worked when we talked to people. And so we decided to really give it a shot, because otherwise we would just keep living in our cars, sleeping in our parking lots. And this was the one thing that we saw that was working. So I think that was really what motivated it. And that the connection, I mean, it's really like, demonstrated everything that you're teaching around building bonds and authentic relationships being the most important thing. Because, those fans that we met in lines for shows, I can't tell you how many times I've had someone reach out to me, 10 years later and say, I first met you in line for an All Time Low show. And now they've been out to 6 of our shows, and they got a private house concert, and they're like the super fan. And, it definitely wouldn't have happened if we hadn't taken the time to actually meet people face to face and have those conversations. And, I definitely was a super awkward, shy kid when I was first doing it. But I also see that as...
This is like your lesson right here, everyone. Like, if a 16-year-old kid who's like super shy and introverted can go take the chance to like stand out in the rain and go talk to a bunch of random other young people on a line at a venue. And I'm sure not everyone was like, hey, I can't wait to talk. A few people were like, or no, or ew, or they turned their head, or they were freaked out.
That. I don't know why, but there's these 2 girls that I remember, who did not give me the time of day. Yeah. And they were like, you're so they're loud. They're like, it was like very judgmental energy. And I remember for some reason those 2 still stick in my mind.
Yeah.
But like you're describing, like it is.
There's something so important there. If I could just build on that for one sec, those people, those are the people that leave the off-color remark on your social media. Those are the people that Seth Godin used to say, pee-pee in your swimming pool. He's like, my blog is my swimming pool. You do not come and pee-pee in it, which is why he shut his comments off. He's like, not interested in everybody's opinion about my swimming pool, no pee-pee. But those negative comments, and I think about this too, if I ever have a sales call with some artist that I'm not their thing, they're not my thing, it didn't work out or whatever, why do I let that upset me and take that into my next day instead of focusing on the 15 to 20 or 30 artists that we're currently serving who are all phenomenal and ready to do the work, and they were a yes to us and we were a yes to them. That is a huge part of why bond marketing can also feel so scary, because you do have to put yourself out there, and there will be those 2 people that are completely not ready to talk to you, but it's turning towards the ones that are and making those bonds. I mean, we have a loneliness epidemic right now. I mean, Google this if you are not aware that we are now living in a time where people feel more isolated, more lonely, more sad, and more disconnected than we ever have. Thank you, social media. Thank you, politics that divide us. Thank you, sort of the current post-COVID culture that we're living in where we've been isolated. I think we really have to think about that you as an artist have a responsibility. It's not even a responsibility. It's what is created by your inherent nature. And this is another step in the funnel. It's called a fan sanctuary. once you build a fan sanctuary where people feel safe and acknowledged and seen, and they can turn to each other to make friends. I mean, Michael, how many people from your fan community got married to one another because they met each other and bonded at a show? I know it's more than one.
Yeah. There's 2 people that come to mind that came out to a show that mentioned that, and it's exactly what you're describing. I mean, one thing that really touches me more than anything is thinking about how many people told me afterwards that they have their best friends, because of our music and because that's how they met them. And I remember when I was a shy, awkward kid, that's what music did for me. It's how I made my best friends, and it's the reason I met my wife, and it's the reason I have my kids. And so that community and those bonds that you're describing, it's easily the most fulfilling part of what we get to do.
Yeah. And so, there it is right there. This is the invitation. And it never works when you're freaking out about the one person that doesn't like you, or not everyone's going to like your music. That's just part of the deal, and that's okay. And when you don't bond, you're going to feel that loneliness. You're going to feel that, what am I here for doing this? You're going to feel like you're doing it all in a vacuum. And so that's the lesson. And it doesn't have to look like it looked for you, where you managed to create tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. It can, if you had 100 people or 200 people that absolutely loved everything that you did and were there for it, wouldn't that make a tremendous difference in your career? Just 100 more than you have today. I don't care where you're starting. 100 more people that want to be in your sanctuary, that could possibly meet their next spouse or their next best friend. Babies could be made because someone met in a chat talking about your art. That to me is what all this bond is about. It's not just about you and how you bond to the community. It's about the magic that happens when there's a ripple effect, and your art is at the center of that. I mean, there's nothing, I'm not a musician. I just am a huge fan of people that are ballsy enough to make art and put it out into the world, because that to me is an act of massive bravery. And so why wouldn't you want more people bonding with it? That's really what this all comes down to.
That's beautiful. Fan sanctuary. I love that concept. Well, Ariel, thank you so much for coming back on SWM again. And I feel like every time you come back, it's going deeper into the fundamentals, but also in a way that's really relevant, to the time. We're in a loneliness epidemic, and what we need is more bonds, and we need to connect. And I mean, you could probably argue that that's sort of the prime core reason that we're even alive, is to build connections and relationships. And so thank you for coming on here and sharing your new book, which below this video, wherever you're watching this right now, the links to grab the book will be there. And Ariel, for anyone who's watching this right now who loves this conversation, wants to kind of transition from focusing on the scattered, kind of strategies to being more focused on building authentic bonds and relationships, where's the place for them to go to get started?
cyberpr.com. You will find 300 plus articles that I've written to help you navigate marketing, publicity, mindset. My podcast is there. And if you're interested in working with me, you can fill out a form, tell me a little bit about your music. Links to the book you can also find, From Buzz to Bond, on Amazon, if that's your thing. And that's it. I'm also Cyber PR and Cyber PR Music on all the social channels.
Yay! Well, like I mentioned, we'll have all the links just right below this so that you have easy access. And let's give a virtual round of applause for RL for being here today. Yeah! This is awesome. And looking forward to hearing everyone's feedback for reading the new book.
Thanks so much for having me, Michael.
Woo! Yay! That was great.
Yay!
So much fun.
So good.
All right. Boom.